Yo, fantasy community, welcome to Proper Things, the FPL show brought to you by the TT FPL Pro-League, episode 34. It's your host, your boy Michael, back again with this week's episode. And I have to say, it's not been a great week for FPL for yours truly. I haven't seen a beating like this since he took those lashes from Ryan Garcia this last Saturday. It's been shot after shot, whether it be from Havertz, Odegaard, White, Olise, Mateta, the Everton defense, Trent, Alexander-Arnold, points raining in, rank dropping, well, I holding steadier by a thread, and I'm hoping that my differentials could hit back this Wednesday evening, but so far it's been rough. It's just been going from weakness to weakness, the opposite of strength to strength. So we're hoping that the Wednesday fixture could bring a silver lining towards the FPL team, but nonetheless we have to do the episode or the preview for game week 35. But before we look ahead, we have to take a step back and recap the scoreline so far for game week 34. Game week 35 kicked off with Brentford versus Luton, Visa and then Bueno starring out, no sign of Tooney as he was iced out by Thomas Frank. Burnley defeated Sheffield 4-1. Brighton Diaz failing to register any points in that one. Arsenal got past Wolves 2-0, clean sheets galore for the Arsenal defense, and Odegaard with the late second goal. 2-0 was the score between Everton and Forest. Everton lucky to get away with some calls there by the VAR. Aston Villa defeated the Cherries 3-1, Watkins adding 2 assists in that encounter. 5-2 was the score between Crystal Palace and West Ham. 16 points from Mateta, Olise starring, Eze starring, and Dean Henderson flopping to the -1 own goal and conceding 2. Liverpool defeated Fulham 3-1. Jota having a time of his life, but unfortunately will be out for multiple weeks going forward. And then, of course, the carnage that was the 5-0 win for Arsenal versus Chelsea. Havertz brace, Ben White brace, another clean sheet, and only the assist there for Starboy Saka, but 5-0 again, Arsenal versus Chelsea. That was the review thus far for the double game week 34, as the Wednesday encounters are scheduled to happen a little later this afternoon. And now with the reviews firmly in the rearview mirror, we move into the proper things segment, and here we give you all the advice with the picks that you may need to rise up the ranks. But before we get started, I want to say that the free hit 34 was an absolute success over the free hit 29 or the holding strategy for 37, as the swing was enormous. We're talking about 65 points plus. We're looking at those who free hit and had the correct picks. I know some of the picks that I had hit, but the Dean Henderson especially thus far proving to be a stinker. So if you had the Havertz, the Jota, although you'll miss the second fixture, when Saka got the drip feed, we're still waiting on Salah, and well, Eze banged as well for Crystal Palace. So hoping that the fixtures today brings luck to all those who are waiting for those points to come in. And of course, we have a mini double in game week 35 with Spurs and Chelsea having 2 fixtures. And traditionally, I would say you could overload on these two, traditional Big 6 teams. But looking at the assets available, I have to say who would be the 3 best Chelsea assets outside of the proper take segment. I would have to say if you go in defense, maybe you go Pekovic, because Gusto is flagged currently and I not really fancy any of the other defenders. If you have to pick one, the worst of the best of the worst, it would be Cucurella for me. In midfield, while Palmer is a mainstay, and then since it's a double, I would take the bullet on Jackson, and more to come on that. And to the white side of London, or the Lily Whites of Tottenham, I would say it would be Son, definitely. And I don't really fancy any of the defenders or Vicario in goal, as Spurs have been conceding a lot of goals. But if I have to pick one, it would be Poro, but then again, not really fancy him with Udoji out for the rest of the season, and then I would punt on probably Brennan Johnson. Have to wait to see if Richarlison is fit and ready to play the double as well. And now with those two pieces of housekeeping covered, we move into the proper things segment as we know it. And due to the positive feedback of the new structure of the segments, we give the people what they want and we continue in with that structure going forward. So here in the proper things segment, we give you all the picks that you all need to have now and going forward with the proper things picks. Needle movers for the aggressive players looking to rise rank. Spilt milk means they've overstayed their welcome, and wondering picks are the players you should keep an eye on. And to kick things off, we go in with the defenders this game week, and the 4 defenders that are highlighted. Firstly, the proper things defender pick has to be the guy who just came off a 26-pointer, 2 clean sheets, 2 goals, bonuses galore. We're talking about Ben White coming in at 6 million now. I know he was a lot cheaper going into game week 33 and into the double in 34, but with his newfound form in front goal coupled with the clean sheets, he's just a nasty pick right now. I know Arsenal don't have any doubles going forward, but they are the best defense in the league, and with North London, they'll be on tap weekend. We know Spurs love the high line. There could be more attacking returns on tap for Ben White. So he is the proper things defender pick for game week 35. Now we're looking at which defender you could bring in to get that little boost in rank, as he may be a differential. And with Man City not having a double in 34, a lot of people moved away from value who weren't on free hit. And I know a lot of people still don't have the Croatian, and coming in at 4.9 million, playing that advanced role on the left side of Man City's defense. I think he's the best defender from the Sky Blue Army to own in fantasy. Comes in at a nice 4.9 price tag, so you don't have to break the bank to have him. And with City's schedule, and with City knowing that they have to go coast to coast with the wins to secure the Premier League title, I expect them to go out there and play their style of football, which should result in value getting a great haul of points going forward. So for me, especially game week 35 versus Nottingham Forest, value is a guy who could be a differential before a lot of more managers move on to him, with City on tap to have a double in game week 37. So value is your needle mover defender pick for game week 35. The guy you will be getting rid of if you have him would be Andy Robertson, coming in at 6.5 million. And it's not because I don't like the Scottish fullback, but with the return of Trent, we already saw what he did in his full return with a great free kick, amazing free kick goal, but Liverpool still can't seem to string some clean sheets together. With Robertson not really getting the attacking returns that he used to in seasons past, 6.5 seems like a premium to invest in a defender, especially if you could find a little budget to have Trent or just shift to Virgil van Dijk. I can't really recommend having Robertson going forward, especially if Liverpool not carded to have a double. So if you are a Robertson owner, I think this is the time to jump ship from Robbo. And finally, the defender I should be keeping an eye on, or the wondering defender pick for game week 35, is Kieran Trippier, coming in at 6.6 million. And I know Newcastle have not been keeping clean sheets recently. I mean, they did get that big 4-0 win versus Spurs in game week 33, but before that, the clean sheets weren't really coming in. But Trippier has been injured. But if you look at Newcastle's schedule, with Sheffield on tap this weekend, and then a double in 37, and the attacking prowess of the English right back, I think Trippier is a guy you can afford to get in, especially if you're on wildcard. For the home stretch, as we say, at 6.6 million, I know it's a lot of money, and I don't really think you move for him this week with the return still shrouded in mystery. But I think if he does return in game 35 versus Sheffield, you keep an eye on and maybe move for him ahead of the double. And at 6.6 million, not a lot of managers will have that budget if you do move. But again, we have to keep an eye on him. So for that fact, he only lands on the wondering pick defender list for game week 35. And now with the defenders covered, we moving across to the midfielder or the creative hubs. And the proper things midfielder pick, who I think you have to have in your team now and going forward, regardless of the flag he currently has, is Cole Palmer, especially with a double on top for Chelsea in game week 35. And coming in at 6.2 million, he's not going to break the bank. And my goodness, 2 hat-tricks in recent weeks, and we saw what Chelsea is when he's not available after that beatdown from Arsenal. We know what Cole Palmer is all about. We know he's on top for the penalties, and we know he's their creative hub. And with 2 doubles in the next 4 game weeks, I mean, Cole Palmer is a premium as premium comes. He narrowly beats out Heung-Min Son for the proper things pick. But I have to mention Son at 9.8 million as well. Spurs do have a double, and Son now plays the number 9 role for the Hotspurs. But we have to remember that Richarlison was not available, and with his return to training, we have to keep an eye on to see if he returns to the starting line. But Heung-Min Son narrowly misses out on the proper things honors this week, as that goes to Cole Palmer. And the needle mover midfielder pick, again, this is the pick that you could bring in if you're looking for that quick boost in points, a little differential, has to be Anthony Gordon at 6.1 million. I know the ownership on this asset is going to skyrocket in weeks to come, as Newcastle do have one of the most friendly, down the stretch schedules to come, and of course he has the double in Gameweek 37. They do have Sheffield on top, so you could expect points for the English winger who's been in scintillating form this season, and at 6.1 million he's going to be affordable for most managers. I know a lot of people who didn't wildcard or didn't free hit have assets like the Liverpool assets that they may be looking to move on from, and Gordon could be a nice asset to bring in and save some budget to make another move elsewhere. I know personally I'm looking at Anthony Gordon this upcoming game week, and at 6.1 million he has to be a guy that you jump on this week, take he points as a differential, and then he'll probably move into the proper things category going forward. In the spilt milk segment, again, this is the midfielder you should get rid of. Unfortunately, Diego Jota suffered an injury in Liverpool's win over the weekend, as Klopp said he will not be available for the fixture on Wednesday. And at this stage of the season, with only 4 more game weeks to go, if you can't play, you can't stay, and Diego Jota unfortunately is injured. So no more debate on whether you stick or sell. You have to sell the Portuguese attacker here on the midfielder in fantasy. And now finally, the wondering midfielder pick would be Bruno Fernandes versus Burnley. Again, if you already have Anthony Gordon and you're looking for another differential, I think Bruno Fernandes is the guy you could bring in for quick points. But I want to keep an eye on Bruno, this week versus Sheffield on the Wednesday, and then versus Burnley, and then move for him ahead of Manchester United's double. But we all know United are a team that blows hot and cold, but Bruno is a mainstay. We know Ten Hag just can't seem to really get the fixtures or the team ready for these games. But Bruno has been blowing hot in recent weeks. We've seen him converting penalties, converting chances to goals and into points. So Bruno, if you already have Anthony Gordon, you can move him up to the needle movers segment. But for me personally, I want to keep another eye on Bruno ahead of the 36 and the double in 37 and game week 38. So Bruno only lands on the wondering pick list midfielder pick for game week 35. And with this being a double game week, I have to give special mention to a cheeky ball player in Brennan Johnson this game week. I know that Spurs do play Arsenal in the first of their 2 fixtures, but Spurs are a very attacking team, and with 2 bites of the cherry, if you're looking for something really cheeky or really different, I'll definitely try to incorporate Brennan Johnson if you're looking for a haymaker or a quick pick, as they say. So Brennan Johnson gets special love in the midfielders category this week. And now with the midfielders cover, we're making quick haste to the forward line. And the proper things forward pick has to be the guy who has been in scintillating form. And I know you're going to say Callum Wilson is back in training, so his minutes could be cut. But I'm speaking about Alexander Isak coming in at 8.1 million. Regarding the Callum Wilson back in training with Newcastle's injury crisis this season, I see no reason why you can't incorporate those 2 players into the starting lineup, as Harvey Barnes right now is filling in that 3rd forward role with Anthony Gordon and Isak at the moment. So I see no reason why Callum Wilson and Isak can't play together. I know another discussion point is if at this point it's too late, the boat has already left the port and you're just chasing points. Well, 2 things could be true in this case. Of course, you will be chasing the Isak points if you didn't have him. But with the schedule that Newcastle has to close out the season and with a double in 37, you could be in for more trouble if you don't have Isaac going forward. So Isaac has to be a proper things forward pick. Give me 35, and for the rest of the season, 8.1 million seems like a steal. And it's going to rise before, I believe, before Game Week 35 starts. Your proper things, needle mover pick. Well, for the forward line, has to be a guy. It is very polarizing. They're saying that this boy couldn't hit the barn door from close range, but he has 2 bites of the cherry to see if he could hit that barn door. And with the flag next to Palmer, I have to go with Nico Jackson as the needle mover striker pick at 6.8 million. With penalties up in the air due to Palmer's availability. Well, I do believe Palmer will play in the double in 35 for Chelsea. You still have to add a little air of caution. And with Modowiki's poor performance versus Arsenal, I expect Sterling to come back in the lineup and maybe penalty duties fall to Jackson, who already sees been fighting for it. And he has 2 bites of the cherry should Pochettino play him to get points. I know he's not a great pick traditionally this season, but with 2 bites of the cherry and with the state in the game for those who are looking to rise up the ranks with a differential, I think Jackson could be a man. He's not a great real-life striker, but fantasy-wise, he could get some points that are much needed for managers in a tricky position. The forward that I'll be looking to sell is spilled milk forward pick this week is Muniz from Fulham coming at 4.6 million, with the rise of Mateta looking like prime R9 for 5.2 million, and with Cunha maybe coming back for the Luton game, I don't really see the appeal of Muniz at that price point, and if you could swap him in for a more expensive striker, I would definitely do that. Muniz for me and Fulham's time has come to an end, and it was great while it lasted, but unfortunately all good things must come to an end. So Muniz lands on the spilled milk forward pick list for Game Week 35. And finally, the wondering forward pick is a guy who I don't really blend with after his early exploits this season, but I have to put Højlund coming in at 7.0 million in the wondering pick list, as you have to keep an eye on the United Hitman with a double in 37 and with a great fixture in 35. It will be an opportune time to take a look at Højlund to see how he goes. They do play Sheffield in an hour or 2 from now, and with Burnley on tap weekend again, could be great to see if Højlund could come good down the stretch, especially with the in and out, with the injuries due to Rashford. He should be locked in, and we will see if he can deliver those points. And that concludes the proper thing segment for Game Week 35. I hope you all enjoyed the picks. Hope it sorted out any problems you might have in your head. I want to thank everybody so far for the views, for the support, for the feedback as we move now into the new structure. I know a lot of people were saying if I could incorporate how I did the episode last week with the traditional categories, they would be messing with it now. So hope you all enjoy the presentation of the proper thing segment this week. I'd like to hear from you all down in the comments about how it went, if you all agree, if you all disagree with the picks, if you have alternative picks. And while leaving a comment, you could like the video and subscribe to the channel. We almost there to the end of the season, and it's been great so far. Not so great in 34, you know. Could erase 34, but looking to end with a bang. So thank you again for all the support. And now that the proper thing segment has concluded, I know most managers have one more dilemma, and that's who to put the armband on, but have no fear as Captaincy Corner is here. Here on Captaincy Corner, I give you all the 5 best assets I think I could reap reward with the fixtures on tap for the game week. And last game week, I did say Salah was the best captaincy option, and we're still waiting to see if Salah could return versus Everton this game week. So hopefully the Egyptian King gets things right. Looking at the fixtures and the teams this game week, I think the best standout captain has to be Cole Palmer from Chelsea. I know he's flagged at the time of recording, but we know how explosive Cole has been this season, and if he is fit for the first game in Game Week 35, he would definitely be the most captain player in the double game week. In a close second is a guy who is boom or bang in recent weeks. I'm talking about Heung-min Son from Tottenham. If Cole Palmer is ruled out for one of those games, I know Son is going to shoot to the top of the list with 2 fixtures being, well, Spurs' main man. He has to be in the conversation for the armband, and he only lands at number 2 this game week behind, of course, Cole Palmer. In number 3, we go in with the guy who has the best one-game fixture here, the best single game week. I'm speaking about Alexander Isak. We all know this guy is in scintillating form, and with Sheffield on top, he could be on for a lot of points. Joining him in number 4 is his teammate Anthony Gordon. In a close 4 again, the winger from Newcastle has been in amazing form this season, and with the place for the Euros up for grabs, you'll definitely be looking to put on show after show to close out the season. At number 5, we go in with a little cheeky ball selection here with Phil Foden, with the availability of Haaland up in the air. I know I didn't mention the Norwegian this episode, but with him already being ruled out for game week 35, well, game week 34, sorry, his availability is up in the air for 35. And maybe Phil Foden steps into that savior role for the Sky Blue Army to grant them the points as he's done so many times this season. But we have to still keep an eye out to see if the Norwegian is going to return. So for that fact, Foden only lands at 5. So that concludes the captaincy corner for game week 35. Again, Cole Palmer is the best captaincy option for this double game week for Chelsea, but again, we have to look out to see if he's available, and if not, I'll have to pivot to Heung-min Son, who also has a double. And now I know this is the part of the episode where I give you all the race for the 10K to show you all the latest standings in the TT FPL Pro-League, but with the fixtures still going on in the double game week, we have to wait to see how the table shakes up at the end of this week. And I'm seeing some big moves so far, but with games still to come and with assets still out there to play, we can't really give you all a proper update. So we have to look out for that episode next week when I give you all how to show you all how things shaked out, not only for the double game week, but for game week 35. So next week's race for the 10K is going to be an explosive one. So hope you all tune in for that. And now we always conclude the episode with my plan transfer. This week I ain't really feeling to do it, but I had to do it. If you look at my team right now, we could see that the hole in the free hit or trying something different to take the punch in 37, ended in a plane crash, no survivors, as it was just ugly viewing, looking like we're getting that -1 off the bench with Haaland, Palmer, and Gusto out to injury. News coming in now that the goalkeeper Neto will not be playing the second game, so he's benched, so that turns into a single game week there. At least the Liverpool front three will start the second game versus Everton, so Diaz, Nunes, and Salah will be out there, so we're hoping that we could do damage limitation here on this Wednesday going into Thursday. If you look at the team right now, there's one big bullseye on the availability of Haaland. Is he going to be able to play in game week 35 or not? And I have to wait on news there, but if he's not going to be available for 35, I'll be definitely selling him to Alexander Isak. Because the plan is to get Isak in by hook or by crook, so it'll either be Haaland or Darwin making way for Isak. And then if it's Haaland, the funds will be reinvested in midfield with Luis Diaz making way for Heung-min Son. And if it's Darwin, then it will have to be, I should say, Salah making way for Heung-min Son. Palmer and Gusto will come back into the starting lineup, with Palmer scheduled to be my captain until I know if he will be available or not. So the move is either Haaland or Darwin out for Isak, and then either, according to which way it moves, Luis Diaz or Mo Salah out for Heung-min Son. And that concludes this week's episode of Proper Things. I hope you all enjoyed the episode, because I always have fun bringing the episode to you all. Although it wasn't a great week, I still have to come out here, take the blows, take the banter, and say, the old you would have been in a different position, but this year we're just fighting to get back to show now. We're trying not to take too many bruises and just try to finish the season respectable. But we still have a little trick up our sleeves with that wild card, the free hit, not the wild card, to come later on this season. So hopefully we could get back some points and get our lick back, as they say. Again, don't forget to leave your comments. I can't wait to hear you all roast me for not playing the free hit this game week. And while you're there, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. I appreciate all the support. And the fixtures on. I'm praying right now that I get back some points. I hope this weekend is a lot better than Game Week 34. And we'll be back here next week. And don't forget to do proper things in all walks of life. I'll see you all then.